Hey y'all, how y'all doing? What's up? What's up? So y'all, let's get into this episode 7 of Love and Marriage Huntsville, y'all. It keeps getting better. I got to be honest. I'm really enjoying myself. Okay. So we start off with Trish and Mel. They continue their sit down. Mel tells Trish, yeah, you probably should have said something to me about your situation with my ex because your friends straight threw you under the bus. Now, Trish says that she feels Mel was bothered or that she didn't understand why Mel was bothered because if it was her, she wouldn't have cared if anybody was talking about her ex. I told y'all that was going to be a storyline. That was going to be a narrative that people were going to go with. And the thing about it is that first of all, it's the context of things. The idea that you might have been in my marital home with my ex-husband and now you're in my circle and I'm going to have to deal with you being in my face on a regular basis. I'm going to want to have some clarification on the extent of your relationship. I'm sorry. That's straight BS to be like, oh, I wouldn't have cared. You would have cared because this person is about to be in your space and in your face on a regular basis. I don't understand anybody that wouldn't be bothered or at least want to have some idea, not even be bothered, but you just want to kind of like know like what did or didn't happen. So I kind of know where you and I stand. Okay, so the next scene we have Martell, Nell, and Chris. They all meet up. Martell says that he felt like Tisha inserted herself into his argument between him and Marceau. He states that that's why he went in on her. And Chris is the problem I have with this is that Chris, he's like, well, because Nell was like, well, but you went low. You went really low. And Chris don't even back his wife. He was like, well, yeah, I feel like the both of them were wrong. The both of them were wrong. And it's like, Chris, you act like you are really, really scared of Martell. Like, Martell can disrespect you, disrespect your wife to your face on a regular basis, and you still would backpedal away from a confrontation with him. And it really brings me to the idea of what people have been saying about Martell having secrets and stuff like that on people. And so they don't want to really rub him the wrong way, or they really don't want to get on his bad side because they feel like he might expose stuff that he knows about them. And at first I was like, oh, that can't be. I don't think that's the case with everybody. Maybe with Marceau, maybe with Maurice. But with Chris, the way he keeps acting like he's so afraid to anger Martell, it's like you can't be. I don't think that he's actually physically afraid that Martell's going to beat him up. I don't think that. I think that it is possible that he might be feeling like, oh, I don't want to make him mad because then he's going to be telling my business out here too. It's really weird, y'all. I don't understand why everybody seems like they so dang on scared. Or Martell and his little cricket legs. Like, y'all can't be that scared of him. So Martell goes on to further explain that the reason why he felt like it was okay to go in hard on Tisha was because he feels like that she was possibly the reason for Melody leaving him. Like, having a whole side chick for several years and having a baby on your ex-wife ain't enough. He feels like, he says that he felt like Tisha kept saying certain stuff to Melody, and he felt like Tisha was encouraging Melody to leave him. And I thought that was pretty interesting because when he said that, he looked very choked up. Like you could see little literal tears welling up in his eyes. Like, that man is really upset and broken. I really think that he thought he was going to convince Melody to do what the other women on that show were doing and allowing their husbands to cheat in peace, and they just look the other way and pretend like it's not a real thing. I think he saw the other guys getting away with it, and he thought that he could possibly get away with it as well. And at some point, I think he wanted to try and make it appear like he was going to stop, and that's why he involved Nell and Chris in the situation, because he's thinking, well, Nell took Chris back after he was out in these streets running wild and doing his thing. I can possibly talk Melody into taking advice from Nell, and she'll stay with me. And the problem is that Melody ain't those other women. Melody has some self-esteem about herself. Melody has enough intelligence to know that if I stay in a situation like this, it's going to turn out, it's only going to be bad for me and my children in the long run. And so I see it more beneficial for me to leave this situation than to stay in it, especially when you out here, you don't have no remorse for what you're doing, which was what she was trying to say when they brought up the whole respectful cheating thing, which is funny because it's actually the other people that are involved in this that are actually part of the respectful cheating proponents, who are really proponents of the respectful cheating. We can see it with the Maurice and Kimmy situation, and definitely the Marceau and Tisha situation. But what Melody basically was saying was, you just out here doing whatever, don't care how it's looking, don't care how I'm feeling. You get caught, you don't try to cover it. You know what I mean? You just, and not even cover it up, but just like he was just doing stuff and didn't care about, how to say, like, she basically saying he kept getting caught, and when it was brought up and everybody else knew about it, he acted like it was just no big deal. And it's like, that's hella embarrassing. You should at least try to cover me in some type of way. But Martell was being Martell, being real ignorant about the situation. Not like the situation was smart in the first place, but especially when you're married to somebody like Melody, who was a real go-getter, handles her business, keeps herself looking nice. Like, what was really the point of cheating? I mean, I'm not a man, but I just can't see what the actual benefit of it to go out there and get some random, especially when you look at the woman that he picked, who went out there and was cheating and messed his marriage up for Ariana. Like, please explain to me how that was a come up. Explain to me how that was equal trade-off. Like, the whole thing is stupid. I don't know. The whole cheating thing to me is dumb. But anyway, we got the next scene that comes up with Ken meeting up with his friend Will. So Ken meets up with his friend Will at a barbershop, and he's basically talking to Will about how they're going to have the graduation party for Trisha's son. I think son and daughter. It seems like they're possibly the same age, or I don't know. They have they have both of the kids' name up there on the banner. But anyway, when they actually went to the party, but he basically sits down with his friend Will, and Will basically asks him. He says, well, what will you do? You know, because Ken's telling him, like, you know, every time me and him getting together, there's like this whole little situation. He want to, you know, be bucking up to me and acting like, you know, like he really bothered by me being in these kids' life. And so Will's like, well, what will you do if he is acting weird at the party? And so Kena's like, well, I'm going to try to have another conversation with him. And it's like, I don't think you don't want to do that at that party. You don't want to be trying to have no conversation with him, because I can tell right off the bat that Marquez is about making a scene, especially if he can ruin what you and Trish put together. If he can ruin it and make the event go bad because he wasn't a participant in it, he would probably do that. I feel like he's petty and immature in that way. So, Will then advises Ken, like, look, hey, I think if he comes to this party and he acts up, you probably want to sit down with Trish, and y'all need to have a discussion and agreement that y'all won't be inviting him to nothing else, because y'all just allowing him to act out like that is completely not going to be acceptable, which is like a whole forecast of what's to come. Okay. So the next scene, well, yeah, because they switching back and forth between Ken and Trish. And I see that they definitely pushing Ken and Trish as new cast members on the show. And I'm wondering, like, okay, so what the heck happened with Sonny and Moses? Okay, but anyway, I guess they're not covering them. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe because Moses is was, in the little lockup situation. Maybe that's why their Sonny and Moses aren't part of the show. But I'm hoping they return because, like I said, I'm not featuring really Ken and Trish. But anyway, Trish, I feel kind of bad for Trish. I'm like, Trish, you gotta just create scenes and make up friends because, Stormy ain't on the show no more. So Trish is now having to do meetups with Destiny. And I guess their story is that they're supposed to be cool because Trish is training Destiny. Which I don't see Destiny showing up for training events that often. I don't see it. I'm not buying it. But supposedly they real cool because Destiny's being trained by Trish. Okay? Kind of like how Trish was training Martell. Okay? So Trish she's sitting down with Destiny. They doing a little sheet. So Trish says, well, I'm gonna meet up with Destiny so she and I can catch up, and so I can try to get her support. And I'm like, Trish, you don't even know Destiny. Like, anyway, so Destiny's supposed to be over there, and they're meeting up, and she's talking about support. Destiny don't even know why she's there, really. Just all of a sudden, there's a doorbell ring, and somebody's knocking on the door. And then, the doorbell tried to ring, and I guess she didn't hear it because Destiny was like, girl, yeah, your doorbell is super low. Can't nobody hear your doorbell. And so I guess the lady starts knocking. So Trish gets up and opens the door and lets the notary in. So Destiny's just sitting there like, who is this lady? What's going on? And the lady introduces herself to Destiny, and she's like, okay, like, still, what is going on? So Trish walks over to the table, don't really discuss what's going on. She just walks over to the table with the notary. And she's like, well, I'm going to sign my divorce papers and this and this and that. And Destiny's sitting on the couch like, girl, what? Like, we just in the middle of a casual conversation. You just start signing divorce papers? Like, what is really going on? And Destiny's like, that's such a personal event in your life. Like, you looking at it and taking it so casual. And Trisha's like, well, this is something I've been wanting to do for the longest, and this and this and that. And I'm like, Trish, y'all, for real, low key, I feel like Trish and Marquez getting together and starting a family when they were super young and they were together for so long, I think it stunted both of their growth. Because Trish seems like she's so uncomfortable in her own skin. She seems like she has a hard time making decisions for herself and kind of thinking for herself. I really feel like them getting together at such a young age, I think that definitely stunted the both of their growth when it came to just kind of knowing. It's like the both of them just kind of seem like literally like teenagers just getting out of high school and trying to figure this big world out, so it was so weird. She was like, yeah, I figured it was time. I don't know if I'm going to bring it up at the event. I don't know. Like, talking to Trish, I feel like I will be talking to like an 18-year-old. Really, seriously. Like, I'll be like, I don't know what kind of conversation we're going to actually have. It's probably not going to go very far. But yeah, so Trish is there just signing her divorce papers in front of Destiny, who she barely even knows. Okay, so next scene, we have Mel sitting down with Tisha and Marceau. And Mel says that she's, basically the reason she's meeting up with them because Martell texted her saying that Tisha and Marceau was saying some real degrading things about her at Destiny's field day. And so Mel's like, basically like, I'm bringing this up to you guys because, and she looks over at Tisha and she's like, because we agreed to bring things up at the forefront of stuff, the things between us, instead of letting them just fester and to turn into something more. So that's why I'm bringing this up to you guys. And it's, of course, the Marceau and Tisha's like, yeah, he's just a liar. He's just a deceiver. He's just so deceptive. And we just can't believe that he is like this. And oh my goodness. And oh my gosh. It's like, y'all did know. Y'all been knowing that he was like this. But y'all thought it was a whole kiki that he was doing it towards his ex-wife. Y'all thought it was time to sit back and eat popcorn and laugh at the situation. And I know for especially Tisha was getting a whole hard, haughty laugh out of the situation. She thought it was the cutest and funniest thing ever that Mel was being dragged by her ex-husband. Because according to Tisha, Mel was the one that was trying to ruin her marriage. And it's like, no, it's always been Martell. Because just like Martell admitted earlier in this episode, is that he feels like Marceau and Tisha are the reason why he is divorced from Melody. He feels like, he's been saying this from the beginning, many seasons ago, that he felt like he wasn't taking accountability, of course, because you're a grown-ass man, that he was being coached and I guess trained on how to cheat properly, or what he likes to say, respectfully, and the rest of them got to stay married, but he didn't, and he's PO'd about it, y'all. That's all it is. He is PO'd about it. He felt like everybody else got to stay married except for him, and now every day he is feeling the pain of being divorced. And so he yeah, so they're acting like, oh, we don't understand why he be lying and why he say this. We don't have no respect for him. And it's like, y'all shouldn't have respect for him back when he was showing y'all Revenge P. Y'all shouldn't have respect for him when Tisha thought it was so cute to throw up in Melody's face that Melody's husband's side chick was driving around the matching BMW that he was driving. When she thought it was so funny to throw that up in her face, that's when you should have known that this man was foul, and that's when you should have had an issue with him way back then. But it's really sad and it's despicable, and I feel like Mel is being too nice with sitting down and having a conversation with them. And before anybody says, well, why was she bringing up that Martell's texting? I thought they don't talk. And then she even stated it there that he was not supposed to be reaching out and talking to her. And she left him on red. But she just thought it would be best to address the text that he sent her to them to get some clarification on what was going on. So yeah, that whole situation was a whole hot mess. So in her confessional, Mel says that she believes that the Scotts believe Martell because Martell was doing the most of the talking. He was the one that as soon as they started getting divorced or got divorced, he was the run around town trying to throw dirt on her name to anybody who would listen, which we saw that on the show. People who didn't want to listen, he ran and made sure he tried to open their ears up to how terrible his ex-wife was and how she was a hoe and how she was doing things and getting recorded, all of that stuff. He tried to sell that story to everyone who he thought might possibly listen. And she says that she thinks that they believed him because of that, because she chose not to do that. Instead, he chose to do that, so everybody was just open ears. And I'm like, Melody's she's saying a lot without saying everything. And the whole thing is that people were so excited about seeing the downfall of their marriage that they were so open ears to listen to all the dirt and the raunchy things about their marriage. And since Martell was willing to feed them the mess that they wanted, they was ready and willing to listen to it all. And they purposely chose to dismiss Melody because they felt like she wasn't acting hurt enough. It's like, she had 4 kids with this man. You don't think this woman ain't hurt just because she's keeping it together in front of y'all who aren't her friends, that somehow that everything has to be true about what's being said to her, that she's some terrible wife, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The whole thing was hot mess. Anyway, we ain't gonna get into that. But next scene, we have Ken and Trisha's graduation party for Trisha's son. So y'all, this is the scene. This Ken and Trisha graduation party for Trisha's son was the scene that I felt like was getting a little love and hip hop-ish for me. It's like altercations and issues were being produced in that moment. Like they was trying to get I feel like in that moment, like they was trying to get a fight. Kind of the same situation that happened at Field Day with Destiny's Field Day and with Martell going crazy on Marceau. Like they was trying to instigate a fight. And then thinking about it, maybe they were, because Bell Collective had that fight situation, and I'm thinking that that's gonna boost views if they can get people into some physical altercation, which is like, that's trash. We got enough black shows out here feeling like the highlight of an episode is people laying hands on each other. I don't want to see that stuff. I really don't. Just go away from me with this. So Ken and Trisha had this graduation party, and Marquez is there, and I'm sorry, but Marquez is so annoying. He's very childish. He comes up in there and he's like, hey, everybody, and this and this and that. He walking around like it was his, like he literally walking around this event like he put the event together. Like, thank y'all for coming out to my house. Like, he really was short of like, thank y'all for coming out to my house for me and Trisha's kids' graduation party. It's like, you, Marquez, you know damn well you were invited. Why are you trying to act like you just been running the show the whole time, like you done paid for all this? Boy, please. So then I could see the situation between Marquez and his daughter. So his daughter's walking by him, and it looked like she was trying to just speed walk by him without saying anything to him. And he kind of just grabs her and starts kissing her face, and she was just looking like, oh, just let me go, you know. Like, his daughter was not interested in being bothered with him at all. Like, she was really just trying to walk past him. Now, that's rude, but at the same time, I can kind of understand if you show up once in a blue moon, I'm not about to just be all in your face like you the greatest thing since sliced bread. Not going to do it, okay? So then Marquez further trying to act like this is his house and his event, and he done paid for everything. He calls... first, he calls people together. I think this happened first. He called everybody together to this is what he does first. He has the cast members, all the male cast members of Love and Marriage Huntsville meet him in the little huddle, honey. So he has them all huddle up together, and he starts trying to go over all his issues with him and Trish, and how he feel like Ken is doing him in his space, and how Ken is treating him, and how he's feeling triggered and bothered. And all of them are looking like, the guys looking like, dude, we ain't asked you for none of this. Like, we was not featuring this when we came to this event. We really was not trying to get it. We just don't care like that. And so they all looking kind of spooked and uncomfortable while he's going through, like, yeah, man, I'm feeling triggered. But, you know, for TV, each one of them chime in, and they're like, chime in, I mean to say. And they're like trying to give him encouraging words and tell him to, you know, just keep your peace and, you know, do the right thing for your kids and this and that. And I'm like, Marquez is giving me mental health check-in day tease. Like, we need to check in on that boy, because the way he's talking and acting to me is very concerning. Like no cap, it's concerning. I really think that he needs to be talking to somebody. So anyway, in the confessional, it's so funny because Chris Fletcher's like, he's like, yeah, Marquez might need therapy. Hell, he might need Jesus. I was cracking up. I was like, yeah, because he is sounding like he's completely off his rocker. And then Ken also says in his confessional that he think Marquez needs to grow up. And I'm like, yes, he does, because he was literally walking around the party like somebody threw one of his kids a birthday party, and he didn't get invited into the last half an hour, and he just showed up like, oh my God, y'all just having a birthday party for my kid and I know nothing about it. It's like, he acts very immature. Like I mentioned earlier, I really feel like Marquez and Trisha both had some growing up to do. Like, them getting together as kids, as teenagers, and being together, and like they really didn't have any other influence outside of themselves and their family. I really feel like it stunted their growth, honestly. So then the scene comes up that I'm thinking is so funny. I was having such a kiki when Melody was in there with Trish and Marquez, and Melody, like, they are going back. Trish and Marquez are going back and forth. And Melody is just in there being like the little referee, but she's actually kind of antagonizing the situation. Y'all, it was so funny. And it's like Melody's having a whole kiki with the situation. But I know she's basically, excuse me, she's wearing her producer hat as well as tapping into the situation, because she knows that Trisha don't be really telling the full story of stuff. So I'm sure she's just really intrigued to see what's really going on with them. And so she's just in the middle. Now, she didn't really insert herself in the middle of it now. She was in there having a conversation with Trisha, and Marquez blinked his eyes over there and saw Melody talking to Trisha, and he basically literally skated over there to get in the middle of their conversation. In her confessional, Melody says, with the both of them being high school sweethearts, they really know how to trigger each other. She's like, you could tell between them, they already know what the other one's going to say and do it. So they try to beat the other one to saying and doing it. I'm like, yep, that's definitely what it's given with the two of them. So it's like, basically with the two of them, it ain't no point of you even getting in the middle of them. They got to figure that stuff out on their own. I will say this, you guys, I'm really liking the Melody that we're seeing in this season, in season 9. I really am liking this. What I'm seeing with Melody is she is really going into her producer bag. And I keep saying that because I'm really, really seeing that coming to fruition. She's getting in her producer bag, and she's being more involved. She's jumping with both feet in with every situation. She's confronting situations and people head on. And she's just going straight into things. And it's reminding me a lot of Nene back when Nene was in, I can't think what season, because Nene was on there a very long time. But back before Nene started being, I feel like phased out of there, I think what they try to do to Melody is what they did to Nene. But hopefully Melody does not follow Nene's path and let them push her out. But Nene was not afraid to have conversations, the difficult conversations, to get in the middle of things. Nene was not afraid to be messy. Nene didn't really care who liked her and didn't like her. Nene was kind of like her own one-woman show on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I'm not saying that Melody's trying to be her own one-woman show. I don't see Melody doing that just yet, but I wouldn't mind it if she did. But she's definitely jumping in and being heavily active and present in all the important situations and having all the difficult conversations. And I'm really enjoying seeing that from her in this season. Okay, so we end this episode out with Ken, in my opinion, basically starting shit. Because he comes to the forefront. It's like, hey, everybody, let's get together. He has Trish and her kids come to the front and say, and thank everybody for coming out and welcome them to the party. And he says my kids or our kids. I think he says our kids. And I feel like he's like, thank you for everybody from the fathers and people who are present and look after and take care of their kids, blah, blah, blah. And Marquez is sitting there looking like, are you purposely trying to belittle me in front of everybody? Because honestly, if I was Marquez, I would have felt that way. Because that's what it definitely looked and sounded like Ken was trying to do. Like he was trying to belittle him in front of everybody. And I think where that comes from is from Ken feeling some type of way about how Marquez came into the party. And I don't think he appreciated Marquez gathering all the men from Love and Marriage Huntsville cast members together and having the little powwow session with him. So I think all those things considered bothered Ken a little bit. And he was like, I'm about to get my lick back, which is super petty. And with Ken being the stepdad, that's the wrong road. Even Marquez's oldest son was looking like, what is going on? Like, he was not featuring it. He was not here for it. And so Marquez is sitting there looking like, wait, hold up. So Marquez slides up next to his son. He's like, hi, y'all. I'm the father. And anyway, y'all, it cuts out pretty much there, but we see the next episode where the two of them are having a conversation. You can see Ken's friend Will in the background. I think Marquez's friend that he came with was in the background too. But it was like, Ken, that's tacky as hell. Like, you don't do stuff like that. You should have brought that man up there, even if you feel like he didn't deserve to be up there with you guys. You still, since he was there, should have brought him up as part of the whole entire family, because it makes you make you like you full of crap when you try to talk about, I'm trying to work with you and we all trying to work together to raise these kids, and then you pull a stunt like that in front of all y'all family and friends. Like, that was trash. I was not featuring that. I wasn't here for that. But anyway, we see in the next episode, for I guess episode 10, Mel has to sit down with Miami Reese. Mel sits down with Miami Reese, and she basically tells him, like, hey, I don't like, I'm gonna tell you before somebody else tells you, basically. Like, I don't like what went down, how it went down. I feel like it was an embarrassing type of thing. I don't think that was good. And so Maurice Herb and fires back. He's like, well, do you know anything about what actually happened that day? And it's like, yes, you do. Mel knows, plus thousands of other people's, because we saw the police report, honey. Like, yeah, we do. We actually do. We know the time you got arrested, like all that. Yeah, we do actually know what happened that day. Now, if you want to put a little sauce on it, that'll be cool. But other than that, we do know what happened that day. So, stop. Cut it out. Okay? And so, then they do the second part of what's going to come up in episode 10 is Trisha, Kimmy, and Tisha all sitting down. And they start having a little powwow about how Melody is checking people and how she was talking about the whole situation with Maurice. And then Kimmy's like, yeah, she won't, but she acts like it's her what she said, her thing in life, or her plot in life, or whatever, to make sure everybody else's husbands is cheating on them. It's like, no, she's just kind of throwing little sprinkles out there about what's already going on. Anyway, the thing about it is that y'all got stuff going on, and y'all want to sit up on this show and fake in front like y'all don't. And Melody is not here for it. She feels like if she put all her stuff out there, all her eggs, crack them open in front of everybody, the rest of y'all need to do the same, or y'all need to get y'all butts up off the show. And I can't be mad at her for that. All right. But I thought it was interesting how y'all know this when people have an issue with Melody, they gotta go meet up and do a meet and greet to discuss their issue with Melody, and then decide from that point on how they're going to address it. And I am tired of seeing Trisha sitting her butt at this table trying to figure out how to address her issues with Mel. It's like, Trisha, you don't have an issue with Mel. Melody should have an issue with you. And since Melody is not trying to have an issue with you, please just go sit down somewhere. Quit trying to be in every conversation that's about how to address the issue with Melody. It's definitely giving you busted wide for her ex-husband. That's what it's giving. It's definitely giving that, because there's no explanation for why you feel like you need to have an issue with this woman. Like, you're literally trying to create an issue with this woman. But yeah, all of them sitting down talking about their issue with Melody. Why don't y'all just go talk to her one-on-one? Address your issue with her one-on-one. I'm sure y'all have plenty of time to do so. Now, yes, she don't answer her phone, stuff like that, but that's mostly when y'all not filming. And last I recall, she did answer to Kimmy, and I think Tisha is able to contact Melody as well. So don't say she don't answer her phone, she don't talk to people. When y'all are filming, I think she would not mind sitting down with you if you try to do a meetup one-on-one with her. So I think it's really annoying to watch how all of them want to meet up and have a powwow about the issue with Melody, but don't want to address her head on, face to face. And then when she addresses them head on, face to face, they act like she completely out of line. Like, no, that's what you actually do when you feel like you have a real issue with somebody. You don't try to go phone a friend to get answers on how to address your issue with this person. You address the issue with that person and you keep it moving. So anyway, y'all, that's what we got to look forward to for next episode. That's all from me. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will chat with you guys later. Bye-bye for now.